All right, guys, so we had big news coming out of the Middle East yesterday. Let me share this with you. Now, these numbers are old. Keep that in mind. The updated numbers are significantly higher in some respects. So this is an Axios. 8 people killed and thousands injured in Hezbollah pager explosions. So what happened here is what you probably are already guessing happened. You had Hezbollah fighters. Apparently, they all carry, pagers, and somehow, some way, Israel got their hands on the shipment of the pagers for Hezbollah. They put bombs in them, or they found a way to make the pagers explode by overheating the batteries or whatever it is. And all they had to do was, at the time of their choosing, send the code or whatever to make the pagers explode. And that's exactly what happened. So somehow, some way, Israel and the IDF were able to make the pagers explode on members of Hezbollah. Let me give you some more of the specifics here. 8 people were killed and 2,800 injured. By the way, the last numbers I saw were 11 people killed and 4,000 injured when pager devices belonging to Hezbollah fighters exploded across Lebanon and parts of Syria on Tuesday. Lebanon's Minister of Health said on Tuesday the explosions took place amid growing escalation between Israel and Hezbollah in recent weeks, which U.S. officials are highly concerned will devolve into all-out war. No group has claimed responsibility for the explosions, but suspicion immediately fell on Israel's intelligence service. Oh, you don't say. You don't say. You're telling me it's not the Swedish who attacked Hezbollah? I'm shocked. A Lebanese government spokesperson said the government sees Israel as responsible for the pager explosion and considers the attacks a violation of Lebanese sovereignty. Hezbollah accused Israel of being responsible for the explosions and said in a statement that it was going to respond. The group said that after an investigation, it places full responsibility on Israel for this criminal aggression that also harms civilians and caused deaths and injuries. An aide to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier posted and then deleted a tweet hinting Israel was responsible for the operations. Well, again, I'm so shocked. Netanyahu's office has now cautioned government ministers not to speak publicly about the situation for the time being. I'm sure so he can go out there and lie and try to pretend like he didn't do it with the winks and the nods saying, of course we did it. Hezbollah earlier said that pagers used by members of several of its military units and institutions exploded. A source with knowledge of the incident told Axios the pagers were widely used by Hezbollah members, including senior officials in the militia. The Lebanese health minister said 200 people were seriously wounded. So my guess is the number of 11 casualties is going to go up and up and up. Reuters reported that hundreds of Hezbollah members were wounded, citing a security source. Iran's ambassador to Lebanon was lightly wounded in one explosion, Iran's embassy in Beirut said. Videos shared on social media from CCTV across Lebanon showed several of the explosions. Lebanese media outlets reported from hospitals across the country where dozens of wounded people were being treated for injuries to their waist and crotch areas. Hezbollah-affiliated media reported explosions took place in multiple regions of Lebanon on Tuesday. The Lebanese health ministry put hospitals on high alert to deal with casualties and urged citizens who use pagers to throw them away. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah had previously urged members of the group to stop using cell phones for security reasons. In the last 48 hours, Netanyahu and senior members of his government and security services have been holding around-the-clock consultations about the situation in Lebanon. On Monday, U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein visited Israel and warned Netanyahu that initiating a war against Hezbollah in Lebanon could have disastrous consequences. Now, by the way, let me just say, the reporting at the moment is that the U.S. had no idea that Israel was going to do this. Now, is that a lie? Is it, the U.S. trying to save face to our own population? Or is it the truth that Netanyahu has now gone so sufficiently rogue and doesn't care at all about the U.S. that he would do this and then, deal with the consequences later? I don't know the answer to that question. But either way, we know what's going to happen from here on out. It's not like the U.S. is going to say, hey, now there's consequences for the fact that you did this and you didn't run it by us. They're just going to go right along and help Israel with whatever the hell they want to get done. Netanyahu told Hochstein that Israel must act to return displaced Israelis to their homes on the northern border, which they left after Hezbollah started attacking Israel on October 8th. The explosions happened several hours after the Israeli Shin Bet security agency issued a statement claiming it had foiled an assassination attempt by Hezbollah against a former senior military official inside Israel. I'm sure, again, this is like, bro, did we act aggressively? No, there was this thing that maybe not didn't happen or did happen about how they were attacking us first, bro. The Shin Bet released a photo of a sophisticated explosive device it said the militia planned to use, which it said it had captured. Hezbollah may feel compelled to respond to this embarrassing blow, raising the risk of further escalation. You don't say. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin is expected to visit Israel on Sunday and Monday to discuss the growing tension with Lebanon, one Israeli official and one U.S. official said. The Pentagon declined to comment. In a phone call on Sunday, Austin warned his Israeli counterpart, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, about the devastating consequences that escalation would have on the people of Israel, Lebanon, and the broader region. The Pentagon said in a readout of the call. Okay, so let's be clear about what happened here. Let's be clear about what we've seen to this point. What we've seen is Israel attack a top Hezbollah official in Beirut illegally. We've already seen that happen. And Hezbollah previously said, if you come into Beirut, that's a red line. It's war. We've also seen Israel attack a leader of Hamas's political wing who was working on negotiations. So not the military wing, the political wing who's working on negotiations. They killed that person in Tehran, Iran, violating Iranian sovereignty, right? Now we have what effectively is a massive terror attack by using pagers as explosive devices. Thousands of people injured, 11 and rising dead. By the way, many civilians as well. More on that in a second. And so here you have a situation where again and again and again, Israel is the aggressive one in the region. Look, that's just a fact. The idea like, oh, poor Israel, they're so put upon. Guys, look at the numbers coming out of Gaza. You tell me who's doing the aggression right now. You tell me. We have what? Minimum 47 or 48,000 dead Palestinians, like 90% civilian death rate, women and children killed, tens of thousands of women and children killed, hospitals, schools, UN buildings, civilian infrastructure bombed relentlessly, like 70% of the buildings in Gaza absolutely wiped off the map. Does that seem like, oh, they're just being defensive? They're just being defensive. No, if you're killing 90% civilians, that's not defensive. It's not. Even the numbers that Israel gives, they claim it's like, what, 61% Hamas fighters that they've killed? It's made up. That's totally not true. But even if that was the case, that's an unacceptable. You're saying 40% of the people we've killed are innocent people and women and children. We've seen Israel attack Palestinian civilians when they're literally desperately trying to get to food aid. We've seen them bomb refugee camps and take out hundreds of people to get, according to their own words, one Hamas member. This is what we've seen. Look, they are the aggressor. This is not them defending themselves. This is not some sophisticated, highfalutin hunt for Hamas. The reality is, at the end of the day, they want Gaza. They also now want the West Bank, and they want to ethnically cleanse the region and get rid of the Palestinians. That's the gist of it, right? That's what's happening in Gaza. So then you have, every now and then, in rare instances, you'll have, say, the Houthis in Yemen say, all right, I guess we'll try to defend our brothers and sisters in Palestine real quick. Here, we're sending a missile. Oh, look at that. You shot most of them out of the air. Okay. Hezbollah, same thing. There's been skirmishes and fights along the border, northern Israel and Lebanon. There's been some fighting, and they've evacuated certain regions, etc. But this is like very tiny tit-for-tat type stuff. And then Israel always decides we're the ones that are going to escalate. We're the ones that are going to take out a Hezbollah leader in Beirut. We're the ones that are going to take out a top Hamas political wing official in Tehran. We're the ones that are going to make your pagers explode. By the way, think of the deeper implications of this. Think of the deeper implications. So now we know that there are electronic devices that can be jerry-rigged in a way where they can remotely be blown up, right? Well, guys, that makes it so everybody's pager, to the extent anybody has any pagers anymore other than Hezbollah, everybody's cell phone, everybody's iPad, everybody's tablet, everybody's laptop. Now, everybody's got to look at it like, well, what the fuck? This thing could be a weapon in my hand and I have no idea, right? If a government can find a way to make it a weapon and at any given moment it can explode, this is a total game changer. This is a total game changer. So now the precedent is set of like, these things can be weapons. That means the cat's out of the bag for everybody. Any government, for any reason, producing any product can decide, we're going to make this a sleeper cell weapon. And we can trigger it whenever we want. So now this is opening Pandora's box, man. This is opening Pandora's box. Guys, this is why, at the end of the day, everybody needs to realize how important international law is supposed to be. It's supposed to protect people from the worst possible scenario where the worst of human beings come out and there are no rules and might makes right. And now we effectively live in the world where might makes right, and all the work we did with the Nuremberg tribunals and the Geneva Convention and international law, now that's all been put in the garbage so we can arm and aid and abet Israel committing an absolute genocide in Gaza. And look at the tactics Israel's going towards. And the other thing is, look, at some point you're going to provoke Hezbollah or provoke Iran too much, and there is no more, they can't do any more face-saving and fake virtue signal counterstrikes, which is like what Iran had done. At some point, it's just going to be like, okay, unleash our biggest missiles, and then from the Israeli perspective, I'm sure there's already people fleeing the country at 1,000 miles an hour. At some point, you're going to get to a point of no return where people are like, is it really worth it? If I'm an Israeli citizen, I have dual citizenship with another country. Is it really worth it to sit here and wait for Hezbollah or Iran to blow me up? No, let me go hop on a plane and go back to whatever the other country is that I'm a citizen of. This is what we're looking at, right? Because at some point, they will cross the line if they have not already crossed the line. And then, by the way, I'm telling you right now, if/when Hezbollah responds, U.S. media will be professionally stupid and they will pretend totally unprovoked terror attack from Hezbollah. Why did they do this? We don't even know. Why would they do something like this? It's like whatever they're going to do is going to be a response to this. But everybody's going to pretend, shut their brain off and pretend like there is no progression that got us to this point. And that is going to be incredibly, incredibly frustrating because that's their job when it comes to situations like this. Shut your brain off. Just say the other people are the bad guys, and that's the end of the conversation. Don't dig any deeper. Don't look at the way the events unfolded. It's just, why would they do this? No, Israel is begging for a provocation. And remember, guys, I said the October surprise would be Netanyahu attacking Iran or Hezbollah, leading to a bigger war, and the U.S. would jump in on Israel's side, and that would in turn potentially help Donald Trump win the election because Biden would get the blame, Kamala would get the blame for a war with Iran, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't an October surprise. Maybe it was the September surprise, right? It looks like he couldn't wait to do his little pager trick, injuring thousands and killing at least a dozen. He couldn't wait to do that, so he did it in September. And again, the end result he's still trying to get to is the same. He's still trying to get the same thing. Hezbollah or Iran attack us, attack Israel, and then let the U.S. come in and fight our war for us, the war I've wanted for decades now. This is where we're at. All right, so now I guess I'll show you some of the videos. Warning in advance, some of these are, a little bit hard to watch, but here's some of the pictures and videos of what went down with this pager attack. You can see the blood there. This is in a hookah place. Here we have another video.
Allah Akbar.
See all the blood there that was on the ground. Let's look at this one. That guy's bloody too. We have more here. This video is from inside a store. This is just the ambulances responding. I think we have some more here. This is one of the pagers that exploded. I guess this one wasn't on anybody. You can see the blood on this guy. This guy's on the ground. Okay, now, I told you this is one of the things that would happen. 10-year-old girl killed after father's pager exploded. Among the dead in the recent pager explosion is a 10-year-old girl, the daughter of a Hezbollah member. She was killed while standing next to her father when his pager exploded, according to her family and a source close to Hezbollah. The Telegraph is reporting this. Jesus, man. So, look, there you go. Remember, guys, they are begging for a response. They want a response. They want Hezbollah to attack, or they want Iran to attack them, and then they want the U.S. to do their dirty work and fight the war for them. You know, you could have just not attacked in Tehran, not attacked in Beirut, and not done this pager attack if you didn't want a wider war. But everybody knows Netanyahu does want a wider war. He absolutely does. And he wants to make the U.S. fight it for him, and everybody needs to be aware of that. We've already given Israel billions and billions and billions of dollars. Personally, I wouldn't give them another penny. I would not give them any offensive weapons because we see how they're using them. They're using them to kill innocent civilians repeatedly. So, but no, look, I guarantee you, if this gets as bad as it looks like it's going to get in a decade from now, or maybe 15 years, everybody's going to have the same opinion. Just like what we do now with the Iraq War, everybody looks back and goes, you know what? The lefties were right, and the libertarians were right when they were saying we shouldn't have done that. That it wasn't a war that made sense, and it was a war of aggression, and Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with Al-Qaeda, and it was useless, and it did help nobody but the military-industrial complex, and help nobody but the oil companies. Everybody agrees now, yeah, of course, the lefties were 100% correct on that. Everybody's going to have that same realization. If this gets as bad as it looks like it's going to get, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, however long it'll take, you'll have a consensus among the population. It'll be 80-something% that say, well, of course we never should have been backing Israel massively and allowing them to carry out wanton war crimes day after day after day. And it just drives me, I just want to shake people out of their complacency. We have to stop this nonsense. Cut off the money, cut off the weapons. Let's be realistic. Sanction the top Israeli officials. Arrest Netanyahu. Arrest Netanyahu. But this would only be in a world that actually made sense. And unfortunately, ours doesn't. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.